Yeah, boy.
Today's guest is someone that pretty much everyone here know, or should know at least. It's DonSaidTV. He's very PC, a real homie, always brings a good mood to all of his streams. Never toxic. He's from Malta, which is apparently it's the same time zone as me, which I had no clue. Okay, let's call him up. Oh shit.
Hello.
Hey dude, what's up?
Hey, we're doing great here. What about yourself, man? How's it going?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Awesome,
You know,
awesome.
not too much going on. We're just chilling as usual.
Yeah, normal thing, a bit of more now. So you happen to hop onto a bit of skate as well. So nice little change of pace, I guess.
Ah man, like don't get me started. I got so tilted by Mordhau. People kept interfering with the duels and throw shit at me.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, it really does. So yeah, welcome. Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you coming in and taking time to join us.
Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
So, usually when I do these, I have some questions and some, some general stuff that I always go through. Besides that, it's mainly just loose chat, you know. But one of the first questions I want to ask you, you know, as a Mordhau streamer, like, what's your experience been since you started with that, like the community-wise?
I mean, it's a bit of a seasonal thing, I guess. I started streaming and actually playing Mordhau on the very same day in terms of June 18th, 2019. And in doing so, I mean, I got to, you know, meet a bunch of people, you know, people who had not experienced games like Chivalry 2 previously, and Chivalry rather than Chivalry 2, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just jumped in and had fun with it, you know, messed around with dual fire bombs, med packs, you know, just learning to use weapons, not really understanding drags, and still using the 240 system. So
yeah.
yeah, I guess.
Classic.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'd say we had our fun moments for sure. Myself and my community and the random people around. Nowadays, I guess one could say things have gotten a little bit more serious, since people became more, more well versed in the game itself.
Oh yeah.
You tend to have, you tend to have, if you jump into a skirmish match, then it's gonna be, you know, dominated by the comp players or the people who had chivalry experience or something of the sort at least.
Yeah, like more like high tier play at least, you know.
Yeah, correct. Then when you hop over into things like frontlines invasions, sure you do get the odd person here and there who goes for pub stomping, but then you get into trouble in terms of the fact that sometimes the map design themselves gets, you know, repetitive, I guess, and maybe not as well balanced as some might recall. There used to be a phase where if you hopped onto Mountain Peak frontlines, the team which is defending the castle, I believe it's the red team, would pretty much almost always be the losing team. So, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I do agree with that. I think that the game today is much more serious than it was when it started out. And I also feel like, I mean, the game has always been quite toxic in my opinion. There's always been toxicity, at least, in the game. And I think it's kind of catapulted a lot. Like, as of the last year, it's been pretty bad. In terms of that. At least on dual servers, high-level dual servers, like PH and VK and that kind of stuff, you know?
I guess I agree. I mean, they are ultimately, you know, PH, etc. They are the servers that, draw the most people who are fully experienced and want to look for a challenge. As you go along, you will ultimately find people who might be a bit too full of testosterone sometime, and just go ahead and just start tilting or just abusing certain game mechanics and animations. I'm sure that you've met your fair share along the way as well. So
yeah, that's true. That is true. So I mean, I agree. Like the game, the entire aspect of playing a game like Mordhau is just from being a new player, like figuring out like all the mechanics to going to where we are now. It's a bit of a journey learning all that kind of stuff. But I feel like people are very helpful teaching you stuff, but all the people are also extremely toxic. It's like a 50-50 community, because like the community on Twitch, I feel like is very, very nice and very helpful, and then there's a lot of others that are in-game extremely toxic. But I think that because Mordhau's community on Twitch is so small, they're very helpful towards each other, especially those that play duels and ranked and SKM are usually the ones that get like the most amount of viewers in comparison to people that stream Frontlights and that kind of stuff.
From an EU perspective, I think I would say that yes, I do agree with you. There are certainly quite a number of amazing streamers over in the NA side of things who do really well for themselves, and they maintain a good attitude, and the community enjoy jumping in, messing about, and having fun on things like Frontlines. I guess one could say that things may have gotten a little bit more on the serious side of it in terms of from the Twitch aspect of it all. The element of since competitive is comp is still quite a thing that people gravitate towards in the form of tourneys, pugs, scrims, etc. Ultimately, it's gonna draw that level of attention, especially again with if the flow and gameplay of something like Frontlines, with the maps and the way things are designed, sort of travels along, then it's going to not necessarily draw as much attention to the people who are more well versed and find such things to be maybe too easy or just too boring. It's something that I've seen people say in my own streams as well whenever I decide to hop onto it for a change. But
yes, that's the thing I think as well. Like that's the reason I don't play Frontlines at all. There's way too many random factors that shouldn't really, like, that for me ruins the experience, like catapults, ballistas, people cheesing horses where you can never really get near them, People playing, like a lot of people play horses this way, they play halberd or spear or whatever, and they then don't attack people that are looking at them. They're just riding in circles waiting for someone to have their back turned, and then they just backstab them and run away. It's kind of frustrating, but I also get that a lot of people don't want to play Frontlines because it's the noobs game mode, you know what I mean? Like, it's where all the new players jump into. And it's not really fun to just slaughter players that cannot do anything because they have no game knowledge yet. If your level 200 player joins a Frontlines game, they will annihilate all the new players. And it's not fun for us, but it's also not fun for the new players either. So it's kind of like
a double-edged sword.
Yeah, you kind of wanna be like on your own turf to some extent almost, because also Frontline players, those are the players that have the least game knowledge, right? And because they don't seek dual servers where you learn the most.
I wouldn't necessarily agree on that statement. I mean, sure, there are you have a point, and yes, for the most part it is the case. But going back to when sort of I recall maybe up to a couple of months back, there was the Roman clan that used to jump in and just go to town. I've seen certain the way they go ahead and operate together in teams. It can be quite scary in terms of the coordination and the success rate that they tend to have.
But like is that really game knowledge though? I'm talking more like mechanics and like how you you know, like the way that you maneuver mechanics, like jump into parry, mix-ups, footwork, buffering,
I agree.
jump
Yeah,
into
in
parries,
that
all that
case,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. Like like the common, let's say like the common.
And I guess what you're trying to say is sort of in the mess of what frontlines and invasions are. Again,
Yes.
it mentioned things like the catapult and the ballista, both the billable one and the standard, one hit kill one. I guess, yeah, I do agree with you. Everyone's just going ahead and slashing. People falling for feints left, right, and center.
Yeah,
So,
see, that's the thing. If I go to a jump, like if I go to a Frontlines game and I equip them all and Bloodlust, I don't barely even need armor, or like no weapons and and Bloodlust, because if you can double parry, like which you learn in SKM, right? You can literally just feint like once and one-shot someone that has no helmet all the time, and you're literally unkillable. Like, you can literally 1v3 or 1v4 them, because they're level 40, they just keep swinging. They don't know what to do, so you can just keep getting parries and keep killing them, so you can go on huge kill streaks. And I do think that it's like they feel like there's nothing they can do because they can't, and it's not. And I also feel kind of bad if I go in and play Frontlines, because I feel like I don't belong there. Is one thing. I don't really like the game mode, to be honest, and also the fact that I get so much shit if I join in. So much shit from people.
But when you say that, as in you're getting it from the chat, or from the chatting game, or from the chat as in on stream?
From the players in game, they get so mad when they see someone level 200 like running through their team, and they get like extremely toxic. Like, I was one game where I joined, I wasn't even streaming, and I cannot I think like 12 people or so started spam chatting me like super hard because I'm a no life sweat, because I'm high level and all that kind of shit. And it's all like level 30-40 players, or like max level 80 players that just that are not very good. And I get it, and it's also people that I don't even have killed. It's also teammates that will just FFA you and stuff like that, which just kind of ruins the experience a little for me. So I just stay away from that. I feel like when you reach a certain level of skill in this game, it's also got to be rewarding to play, right? You want to be challenged. If it's super easy, it's not fun. So like that's why I stick to duels and SKM, because while I might not be super good, I'm not completely terrible either. And I think at least I get challenged like every day in there. But in Frontlines, it's not really the same. I could just equip them all, but these build with Bloodlust, and you can quite literally just slaughter an entire server. And like
you can do that much easier on things like Frontline and Invasion.
Yeah,
I do
you can
agree.
stack so many kills. So many kills.
For sure, but you do also still find. I mean, we all know at least one person who plays as a rat in more, how to say the least. Running through around the front lines or the back lines. Sorry, with a maul. Whether they have armor or not, that's up to them. But we all know those kinds of people here and there. So
yeah, they're also in this game.
It's so skirmishes is not immune to it, but I guess nowadays, within the past few months, it has toned down significantly, at least when I happen to be online. So
I think also the fact that Bloodlust exists is what makes it so easy to just go super ham in the game, because if you have Bloodlust on in Invasion or Frontlines, and you are better than the majority of the people you're fighting, and you get full HP every time, and you know how to abuse double parries for stamina gain, like you do in it's not really abusing, I wouldn't say abuse, but like if you use double parries correctly, you gain stam and they lose stam, right? So you can't lose in stam, and you get full HP every time you kill someone, and half of the people playing Frontlines run with no helmet for some reason. Not half, but like a lot of people run
something like Rush, I guess, in order to give you the Rush, and the other perk to give you the speed boost, the other to give you full stamina on getting a kill. So it definitely helps. Gives you the boost you need to get yourself out of trouble, reposition, and start over again, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. whenever I'm playing Frontlines, I don't like wait for them to be in position. I just literally just walk in 1v5 and I just start swinging. And then and when they're all facing at me and none of them are fainting or missing or anything that you would see in a scam, you can literally just keep parrying and you will actually kill them on stam. And then you get like one big riposte and you hit 3 of them because they don't parry and stuff like that half the time. It's, you know, it's not rewarding and you feel bad for them. Because, like, you know, it would be the same as in Counter-Strike. If you join your first game of Ranked and you're fighting people that are, like, Supreme or GG and stuff like... You know what I mean? Like, it would not be fun. And,
not at all.
and it's not fun for the people stumping either because, you know, while you might get that free win, there's not really, you know, there's not really much they offer you in terms of entertainment value either.
Then, given your standing on this, would you say that Frontlines and Invasions is, you know, null and void, or would you say that there is a way that whether it's Tritanian on their own or Tritanian collaborating with the modders, those that we have right now and those that are willing to return in the future to provide better maps or more useful game modes, or what would you say constructively would be something that could be done to maybe say that you yourself would be interested in hopping up to things like Frontlines and Invasions, for example?
There's nothing you could do. No, there's nothing you could do. Like, the skill level in there is just too low. It's not fun. Like, you know, I want to be challenged. If I like, shit, like the fact that I can run through like 10 people in a row by morphing one time or fainting one time with a maul and kill one person per that every time. Because it's not like they sit down and duck if you then, like, they just parry and look at you and then you just die every time. Like, it's fairly rare that you meet someone that is like that is like solid enough to stay alive for more than like 5 seconds in a duel in there. I feel like a lot of the time if you play, I feel like the mole, you can just bait a lot of them. I mean, they do exist and people are getting better in that for sure. But I still feel like if you play like a mole build, you can just do what you want pretty much. And you will rack up like 80, 100 kills or some shit like that if you really try hard and just go ape on everyone.
Yeah, I guess to an extent that's why partially I am interested in seeing where games like, for example, Chivalry 2 plans on going in terms of you know, the more casual aspect of medieval multiplayer, I guess.
Yeah, so on that topic, I do think that what they're doing is really smart because they cater to casual players, which Mordhau doesn't.
Definitely.
And they know their audience, so they make a game that is perfect for players like the frontline players in Mordhau. A lot of people that buy Mordhau, they then refund it or don't play it because they get their ass kicked so hard that they can't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but I also feel like it's also on their end to do the research on the games they're buying. Like, you don't buy Tarkov, for example, and expect it to be Call of Duty, right? Like, like you kind of have to also look into the games you're buying, in my opinion, because like Mordhau was labeled as being a high skill ceiling game before it even came out, right? It was labeled as being like a high skill cap kind of game where you would need to put in hours in order to be good at it. And that's still what it is. And a lot of people just see the game, they don't read reviews, they don't really check it out a lot, and they just might watch one YouTube video of someone playing it. But that doesn't really show the struggles that you get from playing it, unless you're, like, if you see someone good playing a game, it looks easy, right? So you think, oh, you can do that. Yeah, you can't. Like, you can't. I'm sorry, you cannot. It's like in Counter-Strike, seeing a pro play, it's like, oh yeah, it looks so easy, because he's landing every shot. And then you go in and try the AK for the first time, like, oh, okay.
The bullet spread on the pattern and the rate of fire that you have to shoot to make sure that you land on target. It's
yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing with Mordhau, right? And the Mordhau is not a casual game, so I think that people should really be aware of what they're like look into the games you're buying when you're buying a game like Mordhau, because it's a niche genre, right? There's not many melee slashers, so like pay attention to what you're buying. You know, when you're buying games that are not very popular, you always gotta make sure that you're like it's something that you really want to spend your money on. In my opinion, like if I don't buy games unless I'm looking it up and checking it out proper beforehand. Myself, because I've been burned many times.
Watching gameplay of both a low-level player and a high-level player could be a good way for people to go ahead and research such things to an extent, so that way you see what not to do, what to do, what people are struggling with, and I mean, again, that's the beauty of something like Twitch, that you're able to go ahead and just use the chat and ask a question at that very point in time to learn more about it, I guess.
I agree. I feel a little bad for mod house devs for making a game that's very hard and they're getting a lot of like not great reviews because of people. Like a lot of people don't really like it
because I would say, yes.
Like obviously there's the thing. There's obviously gonna be the thing. With the American servers where they have a really bad ping and stuff that ruins it for them. Understandable, giving bad reviews on that. But there's also a lot of people that that give people bad reviews because the game is too hard.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the bad servers, I think they just released a statement on Steam that they've got themselves new servers on purpose for the NA people. So I hope that they get to enjoy it a bit more effectively at this time then. But there was a point. Never mind. If I remember something, I'll get back to it. Happens to me.
So like here, for example, I have a review from someone that played 30 hours. He says, "Can recommend the game as it is. You'd have to put in hundreds of if not thousands of hours to keep up with the sweaty naked boys. They'll maul you to death in one hit. There's no matchmaking, no real chance to learn the game, as practicing with AI isn't helpful at all." Again, it's not really true. This game will frustrate you. That is true. And you will give no way to improve unless you really soak in sweat 16 hours a day for 3 years. Again, not true. It can be fun, but most of the time you're getting hit in the back for someone with a racist transphobic avatar name before you get off a swipe. And you know, again, like you can tell the people that give these kind of reviews, there's hundreds and hundreds of them.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah, like there's also one here, guy with 15 hours, extremely hard for new players. Again, yes, it makes sense, and I get the frustration. But I also think that a lot of people don't even give it a chance. They only play Frontlines, they don't try anything else. They don't ask for help, they don't seek information yourself, and you just, like, you know... Like,
I guess to an extent it's because partially at the same time you have to remember that games like Mordhau are extremely niche. So it's not like it's kind of like saying that you have a person who only played driving games, and then you throw him into a full-blown milsim, for example, like say Squad, for instance. You know that ultimately that's gonna cause problems. I guess that also happened in when the game first launched with people such as Shroud and Summit, for example. They seemed to find it quite tough understanding certain game mechanics. Then you had someone like Clean, who I believe had Chivalry experience previously or something along those lines. You know, who even to this day, if he were to hop back onto Mordhau, I mean, he's certainly one to look out for. So in that aspect, I do agree. Then taking a look at something like Chivalry, I mean, they did take a lot more time and depth. Chivalry 2 specifically in terms of the tutorial. I'd say, you know, truly pacing it one step at a time. If you need to die in order to learn it, then that's what you gotta do. What you gotta do ultimately. Plus, I guess, and in terms of, you know, generally kind of marketing the game, I seem to recall when I had just started streaming in terms of Mordhau, I noticed that there were a lot of articles on a variety of different gaming websites about Mordhau, and a lot of them were all calling out the fact that you had that people were leaving because the chat was always being, again, toxic, you know, gamer words. You know, you get the drill. And it took quite a few months, I believe, until the profanity filter was then introduced. Obviously, you still find people, writing half of the gamer word, then half of the gamer word a few minutes later, or even worse, someone else finishes the word for you. So it's
it's true, and I also think that, in online games there will always be toxicity. And I also think that there's a clear difference between banter and being like just a general like asshole on the internet, and I do think that people don't know their limits. But I also think the reason a lot of people don't like Mordhau is because they're used to games being easy. Like most games today is made to be pretty user friendly in a lot of ways, right? Like you can practice in a lot of ways. Like all competitive games, pretty much, you can get introduced in like a soft way, right? Like Counter-Strike, it has all these game modes, deathmatch, all this kind of stuff you can play before ranked. You're still gonna have a hard time, but you can play it, right? Here it's like ranked all the time because it's just like the game itself is hard. It's not, only because you play into hard like opponents that are better. It's also the game itself is hard to understand for new players, and I do think that it's kind of the same with Dark Souls, right? A lot of people dislike Dark Souls and leave bad reviews on that because it's too hard. And I get that there's frustration, but I don't think you should slander the game for you not being able to play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of.
It's like saying skateboarding sucks because I can't kickflip the first day. You obviously have to learn it. Like every skill in life, you have to work to obtain. And sure, if you want to get good at a game, you have to put in time for it. J-Ban, I have not asked the question. I'll get to that. But it's like, obviously, if you don't want to have spent the time learning Mordhau, completely fair. If it's not for you, if you're a more casual player, I understand. I think go to Chivalry then, because that will do it for you. And I do think that's good Chivalry is coming out, because I hope that's gonna separate the genre a little bit, so that there's games for casuals and there's games for sweats. And Mordhau is obviously not a good casual game. But I think it's good.
At the same time, it's anyone can play either game whenever they want to. You do have to adjust from the game mechanics and animations of one game to the other, but it's kind of the same way as saying you play both Call of Duty and Battlefield, for example. So it's assured. I mean, there are at least there's a basis of the same game mechanics being carried along. And as you said, I mean, ultimately, in order for people, for devs to be able to market their game and continue to sell it and make a profit, they need to make it as easy to understand, and also, and kind of there's an entire, I wouldn't psychology behind it, I guess. Even with things like Fortnite, they had I believe I had read somewhere that they had an entire team of psychologists on board to try and make the game as addicting as possible. So, it's certainly you ultimately, everyone has long days at work, at school, etc., or having a tough day. You just want to go ahead, sit down at your PC, and jump in and have some fun.
That's usually most casual players.
So, true.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I do think the Mordhau is not a game for that. Mordhau is just not the game for that, unless you're playing with like 3-4 friends and you're like in a group and voice chatting and that kind of stuff. Like Mordhau is not a very fun experience to play on your own by yourself as a new casual player. It's like more of a group game, in my opinion. Okay, I have a question for you.
Getting dropped into things like duels, it becomes one-on-one. It's personal. It's sort of, hey, who's the better person in this current scenario? And I guess I've overplayed my time in duels. Still not really all that good at duels, but it does get somewhat tiresome and boring to an extent of having done the same thing over and over. Just, I'm sure you're proving yourself right there and then. But,
I know exactly what you mean.
I might kill you, or you might kill me, or whatever happens. So plus there's a lot of other factors. Whether there's packet loss, the animations make sense, or anything of the sort, really. So packet loss, frame rate problems, or just hackers, etc. You know the thing. So.
Yeah, I agree. If there's one weapon in Mordhau you could completely remove from the game, what would you choose?
One weapon that I would remove from Mordhau.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I'll give you one weapon and then another that is not necessary in terms of a weapon that I find troublesome. I'd say the quarterstaff. It certainly can be. I know it's an unusual curveball, sure.
I honestly can understand it. It's very frustrating to fight good players with a quarterstaff because they'll just gamble you to death. You cannot really do much about it half the time.
The other one I would say at this point in time would be shields. Again, like I said, it's not technically a weapon, but shields in general can be quite weird and frustrating, to say the least.
Held parry shields for me would be one as well. I think those are very frustrating.
Held parry shields definitely being one of them. Numerous times I've said that the way that they're working with held parries at this time doesn't truly make sense.
No.
I'd say that either it would make more sense to either have it that while you're holding the parry, it would slowly bleed stamina, for example.
Yep.
Or alternatively, after a certain number of hits, maybe it automatically drops or breaks permanently or something of the sort.
Yeah, you should be able to break down shields. I agree with that. I think that in Mordhau right now, the fact that you can riposte out of a held parry and then feint that on the shield just makes no sense.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few things in this regard. I mean, for example, take the heater shield, for example, or the round shield. They're holding the block upwards. You parry towards their toes, and the hitbox still applies. It's quite unusual. And I've even seen a video of someone run around behind someone who's using held parry, hits him square almost perfectly in the back of the spine, and he still does not take damage.
Yeah,
I mean, how can one take the game seriously to the level of having ranked and even competitive stuff when you have these kinds of things that don't really make all that much sense?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very bad. A weapon right now, if there was one weapon in the game I could completely remove, only in its current state, not necessarily from the game itself. As I would remove like held parry shields 100%, like yeet them from the game. The fuck out of here with those. But the Swihander in its current state, God, I hate that thing. They completely broke it. Like the late riposte on it before was good. It had good excels before. Now it's late release. Just makes it even more hard to read.
Yes.
And it is so easy to play as well.
Change up the animation as well, I guess, from being a drag to an excel. The difference between a drag and an excel, and even just a neutral slash, at times can be quite weird to catch on to. I mean, you have to take one hit first, and then at which point in time you're down by at least half your health. But then you're just left in a situation where you're gonna have to try and partially guess, partially through continuing to duel against that person, understand and try to figure out what kind of attack they're going for, where and it's going to hit, when you need to parry in order to save yourself from being hit from the these weird drags. I mean, I went ahead and put up a YouTube video as well with a compilation for the Zweihander on purpose, and at this time I do believe it to be up there with one of the top dragging weapons. For Mordhau.
The Swipe was at one point better than the Greatsword, like early in the game. But okay, like I actually have a question, because like what made you start streaming? I don't know that much about like you as a streamer, besides like you know like, again, you only about people on streams, you only pretty much see the side of them that they show you. Like, what made you start streaming? Like, was there any motivation behind that, or was it just like a fun kind of hobby thing that it still is, or like did you have any thought behind it?
I mean, in terms of Twitch itself, I was first introduced to it about 7 to 8 years ago. There was this YouTuber called CNanners, who's actually returned quite recently and started streaming on Twitch as well. Who used to play alongside another one called Gold Glove TV. Both of them American gamers, streamers, YouTubers, etc. And kind of that was where I first sort of inspired myself into being captivated and captured more into the aspects pertaining to YouTube recording videos and putting them up online and streaming itself. I had originally thought about and planned on hopping onto Twitch at least 3 years earlier, but circumstances did not quite allow for that to be the case back then. But then finally I went ahead and just had time. I was still going to be playing games anyway on my own, so why not go ahead and look out to the millions of other gamers worldwide who are looking for other people to interact with, play games, whatever they might be, sharing the same passion, whether they're multiplayer or single player, and just hang out, have a good time. So
yeah, I mean, actually, it's kind of funny with the way I started streaming. I've been watching people on Twitch for like 3-4 years now in total. Like a year before I started streaming, not even like, I think I watched Twitch for like 6 months before I started streaming, and I literally, like, my entire thought process, there was not really much. I'm not gonna lie, I was just like, one day I was like, I mean, I do play like every day anyways, so might as well just try and stream. So I actually just started like just like that. And
exactly. I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of people who are thinkers and planners, but not enough doers in the world. So at times, just getting yourself to kickstart the process and get in there and start trying it out. That's usually one of the harder parts of it all. So
that's true. I do think that like my thought process was that if I was gonna do it, I'm gonna do it for like a little bit and see if I get any viewers or any followers and stuff. And it did. I mean, I didn't have many viewers, but I got a lot of followers quickly, right? In games like League of Legends and that kind of stuff, which, again, followers don't really mean much on Twitch. It's mainly viewers that mean something, right? Because one thing is having followers, but if no one is there to watch your content, it doesn't really matter if they're followed, that kind of stuff.
100%.
So, I was like very early on, I was determined if I was going to do this, I want to do it right. So I invested in a lot of stuff early on, like a camera, and over time upgraded my PC, getting green screen, stream deck, all this kind of stuff, right? Ring lights, all this kind of stuff. So I put a lot of energy and time in this entire Twitch thing. But I also think that, it's something that you really want. You have to want to do it in order for it to be worth doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. Sure. I mean, first and foremost, quite the investment, I guess, in terms of a new mic, camera, etc. So that is already something in and of itself. But at the same time, I guess that rush of having someone to hang out with and talk to. I mean, I'll be completely honest to an extent. Me just hopping onto Twitch and streaming, I first and foremost with COVID, with the way COVID has been, I really can't imagine what I would have been doing throughout the entire time when I'm not streaming. I get that. To even live with myself to an extent, just playing games on my own, not speaking to
it's
much of anyone. So I'm mostly an introvert. So
it's a very good way to be social without actually being social. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I'm a very I'm definitely not introverted at all. I'm like very outgoing. I function best in groups, and also for me, now I'm on sick leave, right, with the entire bipolar stuff. So I right now I can't work. I can't really attend like school or anything like that. So for me, I'm and I get bored a lot because like I need to be doing something. I need to be occupied with something to not like get caught up in my own like thoughts and that kind of stuff. So for me, it gives me the chance when I'm streaming to connect with other people and get to know other people. without having to get out. And in these corona times, like I love to go out with my mates and get some beers and hang out, listen to some music, watching some movies and all this kind of stuff, that you'd usually do. Take my girlfriend out on a proper date and all this kind of stuff, right? But like circumstances just is not for that. So I think streaming right now is a very good thing for all the streamers, is the fact that people have the time now to watch as well, and it helps both the streamers and the people sitting at home that can't be social to get the feeling of being social to some extent. It can never replace being like physically social, but it still gives you the opportunity to connect with someone and talk to someone every day. So
I guess it gives you a little bit of a buffer, sort of. It keeps. How am I going to put this? It especially right now in terms of COVID itself, it's something to look forward to from something to give you that element of excitement. It's like when say when you used to go to school and play games with your friends, whether it's hide and seek, catch, or a game of football or something. It's just that endorphin of just having of meeting someone, having a laugh, having fun, seeing something cool happen, and just changing up from the monotony of life sometimes, I guess. So
I agree.
It works as a two-way thing, but the streamer themselves being able to interact with the viewers, and have someone to talk to, someone new to meet, someone to play alongside, and vice versa for the viewers. Something as what's he going to do today? What is he going to do well? Is he going to fail? Am I going to be able to play alongside him and do well? Show him something cool, awesome, epic. It's the beauty of it all, I guess.
Also just talking with people. It's like. And I think a lot of there are way too many streamers that don't talk enough, or just have a lot of filler talking. I love in my stream that people are not afraid to talk about political stuff, or stuff that's actually relevant. I think it's important as well for me at least, to have a conversation that is also has some kind of meaning. And I think my chat it's either serious or it's super memey and trolly. It's either one. We have times where there's two people arguing over American politics, and then the rest are just clowning on each other and me in chat. So it's multiple stuff going on sometimes, and it's nice to see that there's people that do both. Because there's a lot of people that don't like politics and don't care for it and that kind of stuff, and fair enough, right? I think it's interesting because a lot of stuff is kind of relevant. Hi, Ace of Soul. How are you, man? Welcome.
Yeah. I guess sure. In terms of being able to discuss things with the chat, learn new things, and but sometimes sure they can get a bit serious, and it can end up turning into a little bit of a therapy session of sorts, which I mean,
that's true.
A good karma, what goes around comes around, hopefully.
I mean, yesterday I had a conversation with 5-6 of my viewers about if weed should be legal, what you can do to improve your sleep, and all this kind of just all random topics really that just came out of nowhere, that we all ended up having some really good discussions on. And usually, if I would tell people to okay, if it's getting heated, I'm okay, guys, settle down. There's no need to be
we're all friends here.
Yeah, exactly. People are entitled to their own opinions and stuff, but then I do think it's good to have some deeper conversations sometimes, other than just playing the game as well. For me at least, I've always talking controversial stuff, even though it's not always a good thing.
Conversation starters, I guess. And to an extent, I do suffer from the latter, whereby I'll just get stuck into the game. Sure, I do try and communicate as best as I can with chat. You saying hi, hoping everyone, making sure that everyone's okay and having a good time, streams running well. But I guess then the introverted side of me comes into causing trouble, where I'm not really able to I'm not really able to start these again serious random conversation kind of things. So it's something that I would say is a bit of a flaw on my part. I mean, I try my best to come up with things, but it's just not something I'm all that well versed in
I mean,
being able to do. So
some people are naturally good at starting conversations, and others are like waiting for others to start conversations. But I think that is something that you can also practice by doing it. Like for me, the first month or two of streaming, I was literally just saying everything that I was doing in game all the time. Oh, I'm gonna do this.
I still do that. So I mean, and people in chat can confirm if they've been by what I do, and you know all good and well what I do. So
yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. But I also realized to some extent that like I like to get to know my viewers the best I can. Like I always ask, hey, how are you today? Are you doing well? Where are you from? If there's someone new in here, like I like to get to know my viewers. Like not obviously not super personal level, a lot of them, right? But some of them I know like on a pretty good like personal level.
Likewise.
And then there's others where you what's the right word for that? Where it's more surface level, right? But I do like having getting that interaction where you get to know people, because obviously it's nice to know your audience, but it's also nice for them, I think, to get to know you, so that they know who you are and not just what you're doing. Because a lot of the time when I streamed like League of Legends and I didn't really know what kind of conversations I was gonna have with people, I think in Warhammer it's much easier because it's not a game where you there's not that much going on in Warhammer, you know what I mean, in some way, because you can talk loosely without like for example in League, if you're playing a game of ranked, you gotta focus on winning the game. Here you can just really talk. And that's what I like about Warhammer a lot, is that it opens up for viewer interaction way better than a lot of other games do. And you can play with your viewers, get to know them.
Yes, I agree on that for sure.
No, so you don't have to refund it. I just won't be eating the Flaming Hot Doritos as punishment on the podcast itself, because I'll have to edit it out then.
No worries.
Yeah. Yeah. I have another question for you. What do you think about Twitch as a platform, like overall?
Well, I guess discoverability is certainly up there with being quite the problem for Twitch. Sure, obviously competing heavily with YouTube itself, given that the moment that you stream, for example, unless you go ahead and save that VOD and put it up on somewhere like YouTube, that content is going to disappear in 1-2 weeks automatically. It's the way Twitch is. So I guess from a discoverability standpoint and the ability to grow, it's one would most probably say that it's better to start off from a place like YouTube and then bring over a portion of your community to Twitch. So
absolutely. Don't get me wrong, like I like Twitch. I think it's a nice platform, but man, there's so many things that they could really, really improve on that would elevate the platform to like a place where there would be no competition. And I think the reason that there is, there's pretty much no competition really. Like Twitch is on like 70% of the market, for streaming, if not more. It's like it pretty much has patent on it, and I think that also makes them a little lazy, to be honest. Like the way they, for example, handle support and bans and freedom of speech and all this kind of stuff, it's just a little wacky. You might get banned for something, and then you don't know why you get banned, and you type support tickets, and you really try and make an effort over time, but they just never get answered, so you're not knowing what you've done wrong and stuff like that. And then you have stuff like
it would be interesting, I guess, for such situations to put the people who are kind of managerial or taking care of this particular functionality, to give them the opportunity to actually experience what it's like from the side of a streamer who actually, as you're saying, gets banned. For instance, if you have a streamer who gets banned for saying a word that is a little bit on the which is racist or something, for example, maybe for example, when you receive the email that the ban is inbound, make it so that you actually have a clip of a clip, as evidence and proof that what you did is is violates their terms. For example, could be something to help people out, and even if that particular streamer wants to counter it, for example, and say, no, I didn't say that, or maybe you misunderstood, or it was something that was out of my control, or maybe that I went ahead and said that I do not associate with whatever this person said within a few seconds, then I guess it could be at least a good stepping stone in helping the streamers who do get in trouble understand why they're getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Obviously, you do need to make sure that your that the line of communication is reliable, and you respond within a good period of time. I mean, it's ultimately customary.
It already does exist, though. The problem is that it's just not everyone that they've earned it on. Partners do get like a contact person that will handle their cases and stuff like that. The problem is, and that's at least how it is on YouTube, and I can imagine it's kind of the same thing here in Twitch, that you have like some like a support person that you will know will manage some of your stuff. I'm pretty sure that is how it is. Don't quote me on it though.
I believe it is. I think I've read it somewhere. Yeah.
However, the thing that makes Twitch looks very bad is the fact that some people might do something and get away with it, and then other people do the exact same and get banned, and and then we've seen that so many times. It's just such a shame the way that that's handled.
I guess they need to find a way to say, there's it's kind of difficult to say with regard. Obviously, there's some sort of favoritism.
There is a lot of favoritism. A lot of the people that makes them a lot of money. What?
Yeah, exactly. People who make you the most amount of money, is it worth banning them temporarily or for
but like
period of time if it slows down your overall your overall income, which makes sense. I mean, ultimately, Twitch is first and foremost a business. So
yes, I agree with that. But again, like, let's say that there's some for example, let's say that I do something, I say something stupid, right? And someone else say the exact same thing. I get perm banned. I can't do anything about it. And Twitch let it slip on their end, or give them like 3-day ban or 1-day ban and stuff like that. That hurts.
I agree. I agree. Yes.
That should never be the case. If you have a terms of service, it should be the same for anyone, no matter who it is. And
I guess if you have to make the punishment fit the crime, so to speak, and make sure that it's that it applies across the board for everyone. Making people and keeping them all accountable, which I guess also sort of ties into to why I try to maintain things as PG as possible on my channel and my streams.
Yeah, that was actually a question as well. Like, how come you're being so PC? Like, you're probably the most wholesome Modehouse streamer on the planet, right? You don't swear, you're never toxic. You're always like you're never really etchy either. You're like very like brand friendly,
I would say that personally, if I were to give that award to someone, I would probably say Disastrosaurus. In that regard, certainly a streamer that I recommend checking out in that regard. But I guess first and foremost, I don't want to get myself in trouble and lose whatever little progress I've made over time here on Twitch. And I'm sure that yourself and any other streamer would agree that no one wants to see their entire thing go up in smoke because of something that they did or something that they allowed to have happen.
I mean, I can understand that, but I also do think that being an edgy streamer or being toxic and stuff like that, as long as you're not doing something like directly against terms of service, for example, I think it's okay, you know. I mean, obviously it's a matter of personal taste, but for me, like, you know, you can still get like sponsor deals if you make controversial content, especially on YouTube and also on Twitch. And you know, I think that it's like a lot of people are very afraid of saying different words. For example, hatchet, right? You know hatchet. I imagine you do, yeah. For example, for him, if I say the word simp, he's like, "Oh no, that's banned," you know. But again, like, it's not, you know. You can like. The thing is, a lot of people are afraid of using certain words and doing certain stuff. Obviously, there's big no-nos like the N-word, racist slurs, homophobic, transphobic, all this kind of stuff. You should never say that. And again, that makes sense. But saying like stuff like simp, it's not banned. Sure, you can get banned for using it if you continuously harass someone in a chat, for example, for donating money to someone. You can get banned if you continuously harass someone with that, knowing that they don't like it. As you can with calling any, like, and that goes for everything. If I called you a fat idiot literally every single time I saw you anywhere and you reported me, it would be the same treatment I got. You know, it's the same thing. So like the word in itself has no ban on it. It's just people should not harass people with it, and it goes again with a lot of things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess, yeah, that's.
I mean, I have done like extensive reading on it, on terms of service, and also on the statements that Twitch put out themselves around the entire word. They actually made like a specific statement with rules regarding to it and stuff like that. You can go in and read if you want to. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you know, people. I think that a lot of people that stream, they haven't read the terms of service, or not read it like often enough to know it when it's updated. And it's just about, you know, like you can be edgy and you can have like some dark humor and stuff, and it won't get you banned. But you need to know your audience, and you need to know what kind of sponsors you're looking for. Obviously, you don't want to take a sponsor for a kid's toy and then like make edgy jokes about children. You know, you don't want to do that. You need to be smart with what you're saying, and I do think that it's an interesting thing to see streamers like you that are so family friendly, because that's like honestly that's a rare thing. You know, that's not a thing you see very often. Especially not in competitive games, actually. You know what I mean? Like Mordhau is fairly competitive in nature.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there was a quote that I remember from the film Hacksaw Ridge. Pretty good film, highly recommended.
I've seen it.
I believe it goes with the world so hell-bent on tearing itself apart. I see nothing wrong in trying to put a piece of it back together. I guess,
mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure. I mean, I'm not even a droplet. I'm a microscopic molecule in an entire ocean, pretty much. But you know, it's just me doing my own thing my way.
I respect that. I respect that.
Again, but obviously, I will agree with you that, you know, things like drama and controversy ultimately are the things that tend to bring people over into specific content, or, you know, looking up particular YouTubers, streamers, celebrities. I'm sure you get the drift on that regard, and I guess to an extent it keeps people. It keeps those content creators somewhat relevant as well, to an extent. Ultimately, their name is appearing. If you hop onto Facebook, and if you go to YouTube, you'll see clips about them, or even their faces, or sound clippings of them being used as memes. So. And even
I get that.
certain gaming magazines are just made there, almost like what paparazzi used to be way back when, but instead focused only towards streamers. So it's and I guess ultimately, I mean, it seems like it pays off for them. So I mean,
drama with big creators will always, you know, get a lot of views because it will draw both audiences in.
Mm-hmm. Both the haters and the supporters.
Oh yeah, I mean, like a lot of haters look for any excuse they can to try and bring you down. It don't matter like what you do; they will always look for something to discredit you by or assassinate your character by. So You know, and there
Which
was
I
always
guess-
gonna be someone that stands you to the extent where no matter what you do wrong, they're like, oh, you know, he didn't mean to, or it goes both ways. I think
Exactly.
that, like, one of the things that I think, okay, Chad, correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm not gonna talk out my ass really. But I think a reason that some people watch my streams is because I have like, I wouldn't say I have like super edgy humor, but I do have a little bit of edgy humor. Like I might say some things sometimes that are kind of, you know, that people are gonna go like, huh, and laugh a little bit. Like for example, if someone kills me, I generally don't know why. Then I might just spit something out like cock and ball torture or something like
Yeah,
that. I generally don't know when. Like that just. There was no thought behind it, just came one day and now it's just become like a staple of my channel. That's I don't know why. It's just like, okay, yeah, fair enough. So, you know, like I don't know, there's also a lot of streamers that have this kind of shock factor. Like, for example, take someone like Moist Critical, I don't know if you know that YouTuber. The way he can put sentences together in a way that is just so well thought out. And in such a funny manner, just off the top of his head, that is insane, you know.
Yeah.
And that would always be interesting. I wish I could be as funny as he was, man. That would be the dream. Now you'd make it big on Twitch if you did just chatting and had that kind of vocabulary and that like smart way of putting sentences together. You know, he's just overall funny. No matter, it doesn't matter what he does. You know, it's always funny.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's kind of, to an extent, almost like when you have a stand-up comedian and you have hecklers. So they go. I mean, certain comedians, Jimmy Carr, for example, comes to mind. You have someone heckle them in the chat from the audience, and they go ahead and just engage with them and manage to turn it around such that the person who heckled is the losing party, and it's something that he's well known for, and makes the entire audience just erupt and in supporting him at such an amazing comeback ultimately. So
yeah. I mean, I think that what I like about Twitch is that there's so many people streaming the same thing, but there's so many different approaches to it. And you're like, for example, me and you are a good example of that as well. We both play like our main game is both Mortal. We play the same game. We have a very different approach to our streams. We have a very different audience, even though it's a small game with not many viewers. We have like a different approach to doing it, and we have the very different viewers as well. I mean, obviously there is always going to be some of the same viewers in both streams, and and so forth, right? But like a lot of time when I get into your stream and I watch your stream, I don't recognize a lot of the viewers actually, or like a lot of your people in chat, and I see almost like the same people every day, when I'm streaming. And obviously there's coming new people in every day and stuff like that, but like it's my audience is usually either new players coming in asking questions, it's veteran duelists, and it's SKM players. I don't have a ton of like super hardcore SKM viewers, but I would love to gain some more of the comp players as viewers. So for example, after we're done with the podcast here, sometime I'm gonna be playing some pucks in Mortal, for example, right? And I'm starting to cast some tournaments, host my own tournaments, trying to get in on that that SKM group. But I also think that they are a lot of fun, a lot of the SKM players, but I sadly don't play a lot with them because they mainly play SKM, and I'm terrible at it, and I don't always know when they're playing and stuff like that. But I'd love to play with them more, so it's not only duels all the time, because that's like, I'm a dueler boy, but I want a SKM more than duels actually. It's just harder to like, it's always hard to learn something new.
Correct.
Especially if you're doing it live as well, because then there's the pressure of people having to see you do something. And I always just get farmed, you know. Just getting farmed.
There's that pressure. I mean, at the same time, you know, you're not fully focused on the game itself. You're focused on the number. You may be focused on the number of viewers. Someone said something. Or you have a particular sentence you're trying to string through, and then someone comes in with a slash from around the corner, for example. You know, you're not 100% focused, which is why.
That's
you see
true.
streamers who communicate and are consistently talking. That is, you know, that there's something, you know, stronger about. I wouldn't say stronger, but ultimately you're playing the game and still able to do well without having 100% focus on just the gameplay itself.
Yeah, it's muscle memory at that point, you know.
Correct. Yeah. So, but again, I mean, you mentioned the things with regards to the number of viewers. Sure, that's sort of where the problem with Twitch also comes into play from a streamer's perspective. Like I said, you know, you play a game, you stream for say 2 hours. Ultimately, you're competing with every other streamer who's playing within anywhere within that time frame of the 2-hour slot. Then it goes
100%. Yeah.
But then, the VOD itself is not something that people tend to go and check out. You will, and it's just but it's quite troublesome in terms of helping to promote other people who might be able to put up good content or even
I
content, but you know, it's still saturated by the herd. Ultimately, there's what's known as the herd mentality. If you have a streamer who is doing extremely well, I mean, you're going to have the greatest odds are you're going to go ahead and hop in and check out what they're doing, and you know, that kind of thing. So hence why when you see certain streamers pop on and you happen to be streaming already, odds are a number of your number will go ahead and dwindle and head over to other places. Have those people who are the loyal ones, and the loyal ones who truly enjoy the content, and you know, those are those we 110%, you know, appreciate. I'm sure that I'm talking on your behalf on this as well. With
like there's always gonna be people that are drawn to streamers that might not stream often. For example, like Giro usually doesn't stream Mordhau. He's now starting to stream some Mordhau again, and if he goes on and I'm streaming, obviously my viewership will dwindle a little bit. But I understand that though, because he's like a top dog, and also he's built up a legacy behind him in that. So when he goes on, which he doesn't do that often, you know, it's something special. And I stream it every single day, you know. So for me, like I can kind of understand that to some extent, right? It kind of makes sense to me, but yeah, I get that. Like, it can be a little bit of a gut punch sometimes when you, like, when you're used to having more viewers than you have, and then you don't have a good viewership for something, then, you know, obviously that will kind of be a low blow to somehow, you know. For example, right now I'm sitting around like 16 viewers or something. My average is around like right now 30 or something like that. So even though I am having half the viewers that I usually have, I don't mind right now. I mean, sometimes I mind it. Like on a bad day where my mental is not super good, it will bother me. But like days like today, you know, I'm just happy that someone comes in and you know, hangs out, really. Like, I appreciate all the viewers I have. I might be toxic towards some of them a little bit once in a while, but I think that they know that I really, really appreciate them. And if they don't, then I'll have to let them know more, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, you know how it is.
On that one, certainly, I guess it's not fair to then go ahead and you know, go to town on the people who are actually there still watching you when because other people decided to leave. So I mean, ultimately,
that's true.
What the thing that I end up doing in such cases is either maybe sometimes during the stream, but mostly afterwards, then I just start asking and questioning myself, hey, am I doing things wrong? Hence, and then and even in the chat asking, are you all having fun? I mean, is there if there's anything you think I should try and change to make to give you all the and to make it more interesting and fun, by all means feel free to go ahead and let me know. I mean, it's I'm not gonna I can't bite you or anything, so it's
I understand that.
It ends up still remaining, so if things remain quiet, you're still caught in the same loop of self-doubt, of not necessarily understanding, is it something that I did, is it something that I said, or something that I didn't say or didn't do. That is,
I get that, and I think it's a very normal human subconscious level thinking that when you're having success with anything and it starts to disappear a little bit, right? Or let's say, like, success is obviously individual. Like, I wouldn't consider myself like a successful streamer, but I do consider myself lucky because if you have more than 15 average viewers per month, you're already top 90% of Twitch in itself. Did you know that?
I'm done at 8, so there you go.
Did you know that though? Like you're like 95%, or like top 95% of something if you have more than 15 average viewers, and if you have 30 average viewers of 50s, you're like top 99%. It's actually insane how many streamers that are out here streaming that never gets noticed, that never really elevate their content because they don't have any viewers to help them elevate it. So, even if I have a bad stream, I'm still thankful because, if I have a bad stream or I'm not getting the amount of viewers that I wish for, or I didn't feel like I did my best that day, I'm still doing like better numbers than a lot of other people are doing. And even though like right now, like 16 viewers, it doesn't sound like a lot, but like on Twitch, it's not bad at all, if you can average that a month, because it's easier going from okay, let's put it like this. If you go from 1 to 3 viewers, right?
Yeah.
That's very, very, very hard. Going from 0 to 5 average viewers is very hard on Twitch. Very, very hard. Unless you're like a natural or like known from something else, or like if you're just a standard gamer that you're not particularly skilled, you're just like an average player. You have never entertained before on the internet. You're not known from YouTube or forums or anything like that, right? It's very hard to start off. Yeah. However, going from 5 to 10 is also extremely hard, and 5 to 15 is hard. And if you go, and it's easier going from 15 to 50 than it is going from 0 to 5. Let that sink in.
Yeah, that's again, it's down to the psychology of the herd mentality, I would say.
You're seeing
which is considered to be somewhat significant. Again, it depends what significant is. If you're going to take a look on, at something like, I don't know, Hood, Outlaws and Legends that just came out, and you see people, 11k, 15, 11k, 10k, 1k. I mean, just go ahead and take the number 15, for example, if you're being generous with that number, and start scrolling downwards and see how long it takes for that number, for example, to show up on the Twitch page. Sure, you could say it's partially due to oversaturation, which is correct, because again, that's what Twitch is. It's a big cesspool of competition between different streamers, all trying to get viewers from a limited pool overall, whereby a view is considered to be a view if they have your stream open and with the sound on. Obviously, if you have the situation where the sound needs to be on, you can't really listen to 2 streams at the same time.
That's true. That is very true. Like, on Twitch, you're always competing with other people. The thing is, if you don't watch the stream, you might miss it. And the people on Twitch don't have the same mentality as they do on YouTube, where they can just like, okay, I'll find 5 videos and I'll just fucking watch them. Like, I'll just open more tabs and I'll just watch them after the other, right? Can't really do that on Twitch. So Twitch is not really a good platform for growing. So why I feel like you should be every month where you improve your numbers, you should be really happy, because it means that you're doing something right, because
Correct.
it's a very, very hard platform to grow off of, you know. And I feel like even YouTube is a good, even if it's a great platform to grow off of, it's also very, very hard, you know. Like, you really need to learn algorithm and shit. Like, I have 51 subscribers or something like that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have many. I have like 50 or something.
Yeah,
And
I've
I have
recently
like,
started pumping out a bit more on YouTube myself in terms
mm,
of videos, and now I think I've managed to put out about 3 this week. So at
damn.
least, I mean, it's a process, and I'm still learning and getting feedback from a number of other people who've helped me out along the way. And but yeah, I mean, I try to do my best, come up with the best
Mm.
content that I can, and try to modify it as enjoyable as can be. But yeah, I mean, ultimately we're in it for the long haul. Again, like I said, I've been around for quite a while on Twitch on its own. Almost now we're almost coming up on 2 years. So it's
I mean,
it's
it's not that long. I mean, I've been on Twitch for 3 years, in 2 months, and you know, again, I started streaming League of Legends. I got like 1,000 followers or something like that on Twitch by streaming League of Legends, and then I swapped to Mordhau, and I lost literally every single one. I think I bled like 1,000 followers.
I agree.
Since it
I mean,
started.
it's a bit of it's the same problem to an extent for me. Sometimes I try and adjust the game from one game to another. But at times I try it only for one session, other times for a couple of weeks. But since I've spent so much time, and almost too much time, I guess, playing Mordhau and the medieval genre, sorry, I guess it's, I wouldn't necessarily say it's become a curse, but you do find it quite difficult to switch over into other categories, and
That will always be the case, though.
Exactly, because ultimately you're losing out on the people who are not interested, and then you'll keep the people who come over are those who are I wouldn't say diehard fans, but the people who just enjoy you for being you, not just enjoy watching you playing that particular game. So
yeah, but I don't think it's that simple even, actually, as
No.
well. I do think that also in games like Mordhau, what you get with that game is viewer interaction. And let's say you play something there you cannot play with your viewers, and they're used to playing with you. It might take the experience away from the stream if they can't join you on that to some extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, sure, it makes sense. Certainly, it's how am I going to put this? You're right, ultimately, because if you're playing a game, you usually play a game which is multiplayer, and everyone is able to jump in whenever they want and have a good time, and then all of a sudden you're going on to single player. It's there's certainly a bit of stagnation in terms of about that person's ability to interact with you, and even yourself as a streamer, you need to try and find new ways and adapt, so that the people who are watching you actually are able to interact with you, have fun, ask questions, or
Yeah.
whatever. So
By the way, Slaskin says that he loves your falchion touch.
thanks, Laskan. Appreciate it, dude.
I think as well that on Twitch, when you're swapping games, you know, the thing is, if you have one main game that people are always playing every day, and you then play a different game that people might not like, some of you viewers might enjoy it, but others might find it extremely boring and not have that interest at all. And so if you're playing something, like for example, if I was to play League of Legends now, right, and most of my viewers don't care for League of Legends, I know that they're not going to be watching me. And it doesn't matter if I'm entertaining, in the sense if the main focus of the stream is gameplay from a certain game, right? Because it is gaming you are doing after all, right? And you're commenting on said game. But if people don't understand what you're saying or don't care for the game, it's kind of hard to be invested in the conversation about it as well. You know what I mean? So I think it's kind of a slippery slope swapping games. You have to have a big enough audience to make a soft transition. and then maybe split the streams up into different games. But like, I'm not in a state now where I feel like I can do that. I just don't have the numbers to do that. It will completely, it will be a full reset again. And I've done that from League, and I'm happy with how I'm doing in Mordhau. I'm doing much better in Mordhau than I was in League. And I love playing Mordhau. I enjoy this way more, and I enjoy the community way more. But I also know that if I then swap games tomorrow, I'm probably losing like a good 75% of my viewers. You know, which it's a scary thought, you know.
But I guess to an extent it's something that is that again it's going to have to happen at some point in time. So, but you cannot guarantee that that you're going to have a large or any catchment area whatsoever when the time comes to move over.
No, that's true.
Game out to another game completely. So
yeah.
Again, sure, you do end up having to compete in a completely new game genre market. Whatever it might be as such, but is a kind of finding that right is telling yourself that this is the right time and convincing yourself that you need to do it and when you're going to do it and start doing it more consistently. That's it's not an easy thing. Again, I said, I have found it quite tricky to do on numerous occasions, and hence why you'll find me still returning to Mordhau at times, because there's not much of an option left for me in such circumstances.
Yeah, I can understand the mentality behind that. I eventually want to stream priority more, but you know, I also want to have enough base viewers to be able to not completely butcher myself, like starting to do a soft transition into other games as well. You know what I mean?
Correct. At least something again to keep you within that list of the the 15, the 30 to the 15 to 30, or
yeah, exactly. If I can get like 15 to 30 viewers on average, if I'm playing another game as well. Yeah, because people will detect you easier then. You have to be having some amount of viewership in order to not get down in the bottom. And already, if I were to go play League of Legends right now, I'll be fairly high up. I would not be anywhere near the top, but I would be fairly high up if you compare all the hundreds and hundreds of other streamers that have under 15 viewers right now, you know?
Exactly.
So like, yeah, I get that, and again, you know, it will come over time. But like right now, I'm very happy with playing Mordhau. I'm really looking forward to playing Battlefield 6 though when it releases. That's gonna be great.
Yes, I have seen about Battlefield 6, but there are I believe that's going to be set in the future, and I think I saw
15 years.
A picture that which had some drone on it, I guess. I'm a little bit skeptical, is all I could say, for example, because in terms of Battlefield, particularly with Battlefield 4, I would say the biggest issues that I found were aspects pertaining to, for example, having tanks with the ability to just negate all damage completely, the presence of thermal optics, ultimately, you know, making any attempt to hide yourself and go camouflage just completely irrelevant. So
I can understand that, but like they actually like American tanks do have that anti-projectile system built in actually, that will send the rocket on lock-on target rockets to actually go over the tank's head and explode on top of it, instead of hitting directly into the Panzer. That's actually like a real thing that they have in the military. It feels shitty when people will shoot someone. They have to act to protect him so that they just don't take damage. And like, oh, now I'm gonna die no matter what. That sucks.
I mean, that's the thing. You know, it's when it comes to games and gaming, you have, especially in multiplayer games, obviously, you need to find a way to. Sure, if you want to introduce a certain functionality, by all means go ahead and try, but in doing so, do try and take into account what kind of bad, quote-unquote bad gameplay can result from having such a system being abused. Well, I mean, again, another example, take the anti-aircraft
Oh,
light
fuck
armored
that
vehicle.
thing. I hate that so
Exactly.
much.
So that thing, with the ability to block one RPG that comes toward it every few seconds, thermal optics, so that it's able to see anyone who's trying to come towards it, and then it's at the very back of the map. Therefore, you cannot actually get close enough to even do anything, even with the helicopter. And then go ahead and the moment it takes even just one rocket, just reverse into spawn, repair, and within seconds it's back out again to start all over again. It's irritating to say the least. And
I do agree with that completely. I do have high hopes for Battlefield 6 though, as it had one more year of development time than Battlefield 5 had, and it's and there's pretty much already done the game. They just need to polish and do some bug fixing, but it's already in a very late stage of it's pretty much like nearing finishing the product, and I think they learned from the last couple of games they made. Like Hardline flopped big time. Battlefield 1 to success actually, but it did have a lot of complaints about unbalance and stuff like that. Like the horses, for example, and the tanks, and the planes, especially the planes. And then you have Battlefield 5, where they just couldn't deliver on it like they promised.
A lot of marketing flops as well along the way.
Yeah, completely fucked that up. I do think that Battlefield 6 is going back to more like 15 years on in the future sounds like a lot, but I don't think it's gonna be a huge difference. It's not gonna be like wall running and that kind of stuff. It's not gonna be that far out, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But again, there's still just given what we even know right now in 2021 is possible and capable. I just hope that whatever they choose to introduce in terms of weapon and game mechanics is selected in such a way that it doesn't really cause trouble to the player base and the gameplay.
I completely understand where you're coming from. I do agree with that a lot, but I also do think that the game, like, if this new Battlefield game that comes out flops completely, I'm completely done with Battlefield. Then I've lost faith in the last of my shooter games that I actually care for. And I really want it to be good.
Battlefield 4, maybe some Battlefield 1 and Bad Company 2, honestly. Those.
I mean, my favorite Battlefield games are Battlefield Bad Company 2. This is not in order, by the way. Battlefield 4, and actually Battlefield 3 is probably my favorite Battlefield game ever. I've absolutely loved that game. I truly love that game. I've streamed it multiple times. There's no viewership on the game at all, but it is such a fun game. Let's say they made a remake for that in a year. It makes no sense to do it. They shouldn't, but like if they did, and everyone rebought it again, I would stream that shit every single day because it would have viewership, and I would absolutely play it all the time. But
you say that, but I believe they actually there was a team of devs who had actually, of people who worked together and created Project Reality, I think. So I'm not too sure about the name of it all, but it plays ultimately it's taking Battlefield 3 itself, polishing up the graphics, and then having servers with a multitude of different allowing you to customize how your filter your server actually plays. So whether you wanted to have a certain graininess that was I think the blue light effect that was present in Field 3, there are servers that allow for that to there's probably a mod that allows for that to be removed completely.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's existent. I'll
the thing with that is though that it's not like public knowledge, it's not promoted heavily by a billions of dollar company that can put it out in the world with tons of marketing and stuff like that. Sure, passion projects, it's cool that they make them, but they just people don't know about it, so again, you can make the best product in the world, but if you don't market it and people don't know it exists, it will not sell anything or it will not be useful. So it's kind of like, you have to have it marketed And like I had I'm a diehard Battlefield fan. I had no clue this was a thing at all. At all. I never heard about it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of like for me a little weird that I haven't heard about it. You know. But again, like stuff like that is something you would probably have to look for in order to find, rather than it would come to you. And a lot of games today, they like the marketing. It's aimed at you. It will come in your YouTube videos. It will come to your to your browser. You will find a way to reach you somehow. You know what I mean? So it will be, you will be aware of it.
Yeah,
coming out,
in my case, I think I found it out from a number of, again, like you were mentioning, YouTubers mostly. So I think there was Jack Frags and a couple of others who went ahead and made YouTube videos on purpose with regards to it, and it caught my attention. I did actually try and stream it, but as you mentioned, didn't quite turn out all that well.
No.
And that, in terms of marketing, I do agree with you. In this day and age, learning how to market your game is certainly quite important. Whether it's knowing to make the game available for free for a couple of days on the game's anniversary, or knowing to look for certain YouTubers and other streamers for to play the game in in a closed sort of press release setting, or even sponsoring those YouTubers and streamers to make content. I mean, in my opinion, Chivalry 2 definitely blew up in terms of giving shining a light on the niche that is medieval gameplay.
I agree.
So,
like for example, with Battlefield 3, like my average viewers on Twitch is higher by 10 than it has viewers right now on Twitch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, is there any opportunity to grow on it? There's not. Okay, you cannot grow on it. The guy in there that plays and gets stuff right now has 5 viewers. He's the guy with the most. So it's like, yeah, like you can stream it because you enjoy it, but you cannot, like, if you want to make it like a serious thing with your streaming, you cannot rely on games like Battlefield 3. There is simply just, people don't care about it anymore. They don't. Like, a lot of people play it, but no one watches it. Like, there's no content to be made in it anymore. It's too old. And it's not it's classic, but it's not like, it's not a continuous game like you can play like World of Warcraft or League of Legends that keep providing new content, you know? There's nothing, nothing else will come in the game. There is no more patches, there is no more content.
Exactly. You know? I guess it's kind of you're right. Ultimately, sure, it's difficult to maintain certain viewerships unless you were there from the very beginning, and there's still a diehard player base and fan base who watch such gameplay. I mean, one example that comes to mind would probably be Company of Heroes 2, where you still find streamers putting up, playing tournaments and doing such things in terms of showcasing themselves playing multiplayer games, I guess.
Yeah.
But then I guess when it comes to an example such as Mordhau, it's a bit of a bumpy ride and a bumpy road, I guess. In terms of not knowing when things are going to be released or made available. And sure, you do rely on things like tournaments and some of when the larger streamer returns, or things like ranked. Or being a ranked player, top 10, first place or something. It's it certainly is becoming quite tricky and difficult, and the pool over time unfortunately keeps on growing smaller and smaller, pitting us streamers to an extent indirectly against each other, I guess, in terms of
I mean, that's true.
So.
To be fair though, Mordhau is actually seeing a pretty big spike of players right now. Because there was just sale this winter, and there's also just been a sale, so it's actually There's actually a big spike of Mortal players right now. It used to be between 3 and 5,000. Right now it's between 7 and 10,000. So it's actually doubled this viewership. Oh, it's player base. So there is now a chance of getting a lot of new viewers and followers on Twitch for Mortal as well.
But is it worth it, given that we mentioned that if it then starts falling down and does not recover, and you still need to go ahead and change over from one genre or game to another, would it be smart to stick around just for that 1 or 2 new viewers now?
No, definitely
go ahead and start setting yourself up somewhere else, where there might be a bit more competition, but the pool is a bit larger, and if you play your cards right and maintain yourself as a good streamer, and do I guess, have a chance of making it a little bit further, maybe even something that you truly enjoy more than what you currently play.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. It makes sense to me.
Certainly quite a tricky one, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is, like, as much as we all here love Mortal, we all also kind of hate it, like, like, chat, do you guys, like, can you say that you love Mortal unconditionally right now? Any of you, just any of you.
And crickets.
Because, yeah, like, I generally don't think anyone truly loves Mortal without having a lot of complaints about it, because there's a lot of stuff to complain about. I love it at all times, really. You don't have any, there's no things in the game that really, like, makes you, like, really hate it sometimes. Like,
I think
patches
said, I
where
love
they...
it at times, not at all times, but...
Oh, yeah, I love it at times, yeah, okay, yeah, my bad. Yeah, that's true. And see, that's the thing, right? Like, I love Mortal, and I only hate on Mortal because I want it to be better than it is. You know what I mean? You want it to be better than it is, because it has the potential to be.
And at times, I guess it's a two-way street. Sure, you need to have a player base that is supportive, both to the in terms of the new players, in terms of keeping the game modes themselves fun, entertaining, fulfilling, and even in terms of chat, sometimes, again, toxicity, it's something you'll find across the internet, but it's, and trying to minimize it would obviously help people in terms of recommending it to others, and be more willing and interested in engaging with others to make friends, to collaborate with each other.
I do think that is the case. I just don't think that. I honestly think that a lot of the newer players are so toxic towards others that they don't want to help them.
I guess, obviously, yes, it is obviously a two-way street. I mean, you're not going to expect someone to go ahead and teach you something unless you go ahead and say, hey, how do you do that? Could you show me how it's done? I mean, if you were to hop onto PhD Yard and kill someone 3-4 times after each other, are you going to go ahead and instantly tell that person, hey, do you want me to train you, kind of thing, on stream, or whether it's on stream or off stream?
I mean, I've done both multiple times, sure. And I see, and then
they need to ask, I guess, or accept it and say, yes, there are things that I don't know and I don't understand. Could you teach me?
You need to put your ego aside. I have had people ask me for help, and then I help them, and they add me on Steam, and and then I see them, and then I check again like a month later, and they played 0 hours the last 2 weeks, so they gave up, a lot of them as well. This is kind of a shame because, like I'm actually not even kidding. Like, it's not even a week ago that someone added me and asked, "Yo, can you help me learn the game?" I was like, "Sure, just DM me whenever. I'll help you whenever," right? And I never heard from him actually. So, it's a shame. It's a shame because, like, I want to help them out, and I've done it many times on stream as well, just training new players and teaching, like explaining, basic stuff like how to riposte, how to drag, how to excel, and like simple, like in a simple way, how to chamber, and then practice it a little bit with them for like 30 minutes, like giving them. Like, so for example, allowing them to chamber from each side, from every swing, tell them how to morph and like have them do it so they know how to do all the different stuff, and then they just need to practice it to use it. So, you know, that kind of stuff.
You're practically turning yourself into what the Chivalry 2 tutorial is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, literally, and pretty much giving them the tutorial live on like the basic stuff. But you also have to want to spend the time to learn it in order to be able to use it, you know?
Of course, I agree. What would you say? I mean, I know that you're the one asking the questions, but in your opinion,
No, ask away.
Given that, looking at the way that certain games here on Twitch work, with respect to loot drops and that sort of thing, do you think that Mordhau, in your opinion, could be something that would A, benefit from doing so, and B, would also benefit the content creators themselves? By loot drops, I'm not referring.
Yes, I think that would actually be smart to have drops in, like special drops. Obviously, just weapon skins. But on the other hand, I think it's kind of too late for that now as well. Because of the fact that they don't even put out cosmetics more than like 4 or 5 times a year or so, and as of how it is right now. Like last patch, it was almost 7 months since we got our last proper patch, and then we got this one, and we got one new weapon that no one ever plays because it's practically useless. And then there is 4 new skins. 2 of them are popular. The rest, people played them for 1 day, and now how often do you see a Hussar helmet in dual servers? I see them like one guy using it every day, and like the first 2 days, literally everyone in the server had them. And then people realized, hey, it's pretty ugly actually, let's not use that. So, it's kind of, if you can't even provide skins in the game by itself that are cosmetics, there's no point in making drops. Because then it would feel like that they don't spend time putting it into the game, and they spend time giving it to Twitch viewers, instead of making it available for everyone when they're already getting very little. So I think they would actually get hate from putting it in as it is right now, because people crave new content, and you should just be getting it. You already bought the game. But in game, like for example, in games like Apex Legends, right, it would make sense to have drops in there, because it always has a big player base. It's already plenty of skins you can buy and craft and all this kind of stuff.
I guess. Well, I mean, again, this was something that I had actually raised with someone up in Tritarian itself about it, and this was back in August of last year.
Yeah, I remember that. I think you actually did. You not make a Reddit post about it or something?
Yeah, a Reddit post as well. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I remember that.
Was that sure they were interested in such a thing, and that this was back when Mordhau itself was, I think, still relatively doing okay. They were saying that they were more focused on ranked 3v3 and saying that it would be more of a that it would have a huge impact supposedly on the player base.
What a fucking shame that it literally died after like a week.
Yeah, and obviously the modding tools, which again, so as here we are still waiting for those. It's again, as far as I recall, they're currently waiting for confirmation from Epic Games side, I think.
Yeah.
Go live. So it's a shame though. I mean, I thought it was more into things, not providing you with a completely new weapon, but if you followed or subscribed, if you subscribe to a particular streamer, you'd unlock their emblem on a particular emblem specified and made custom for that streamer on Mordhau itself, or a special banner, or maybe gold or a particular color. That would be dropped as a random loot drop. I mean, take a game like Rust. Sure, it's a big game and all that. It's it's not the best one to compare to, but would you say that with the presence and influx in things like Twitch drops, that the interest and number of people playing Rust, watching streamers play Rust, etc., has somewhat accelerated and bolstered the community in that way? So
I think if they were to do drops in Mordhau, it would have to be meme related, to be honest. Like, imagine if they made like a weekend exclusive thing for Mordhau, where you could only get this if you watch streams, where for example rocks, a skill for rocks that would be literally potatoes, like a baked potato, like a big ass potato. You know, like the ones you can equip and throw.
Yeah.
That would increase viewership because people would want that. Like it has to be something that worth wanting or like worth watching for, you know, as well. So like if they could make stuff that was fun and like little memey, because let's be real, Mordhau is not that. It's more of an arcade game than it's realistic, right? You can fight people for carrots on some maps, right? You can fight people for carrots, right? Why not just embrace the memes? If you are gonna make drops on Twitch, and I think they should, then when they get like a grip on all the other stuff here and they start producing, or at least like hire some more people to do weapon skins and stuff like that, constantly put something new in. Like that are not gonna be working on it anyways.
I guess so. To hire people, you need funding, and then you need to make sure that whatever that person is creating ultimately results in a return on investment for the game to keep those devs still, you know, still receiving money and have wages,
That's true,
etc.
yeah.
You know, ultimately it's a cycle. It's create content, or pay, invest a certain amount of money to create content, and then that content results in a certain amount of revenue. So
I understand that, and I do think that is true, but I also do think that they made so much money they sold over 1 million copies of the game, and it's $30. Like that was $1 million, or like 1 million copies at launch, and that's 30 million euros, right?
Yeah.
And how many,
Sure.
how many, like how much cosmetics have we actually gotten? Like, we have gotten a good amount, but we have not gotten anywhere near enough. There's so much stuff they could take inspiration from.
True. I mean, thankfully now we're getting the Eastern, the Eastern expansion sometime.
Yeah, we're getting a saber. That's probably like we're getting some more weapons and stuff. It's gonna be cool, and I'm excited for it. But then again, like, yeah, can I help being excited for something that I can't set a date for? Not really.
No.
It's like, you know, okay, yeah, I'm excited about Battlefield 6, but until I have a date on it, it's like, yeah, it's in the future sometime. It's not something that I really care too much about, you know. Once I get a date and I can start bringing up the hype, you know, then it's, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Let me see. I think I can actually give you an example of something that I think would be cool to and probably even useful to help out with these kinds of things, these kinds of hype. Let me see if I can copy the link address to a particular photo, and I'll send it to you over in the chat itself.
Do that.
Here we go. Control C and Control V right there. Ultimately, this is for another Milsim game called Hell Let Loose.
Oh yeah, dude, I played that game actually.
Exactly. Now, I mean, take a look at the way that they have this roadmap set here, and imagine that every single quarter, you're actually provided with such a visual that tells you, hey, this is what is intended to come out in this particular quarter.
I actually, that's something that I want to ask Jackson when I get him on the podcast someday in the near future, is if they're planning on doing like a road map, like an actual road map that people can, you know, use. And I do think that a road map is important, because like one thing is saying about, oh yeah, in the future we're gonna have this and that, but like it's kind of worthless if there's no real, like, you know, you gotta kind of do more than that to get people excited. Like, yeah, I was super excited about this new patch here because I heard there was gonna be a lot of good stuff in it. Then they nerfed Chamber to parries. That was good. They fixed some run howling. They then reverted that, and then you got a new weapon that is useless. So what did you actually get that patch? Yeah, they nerfed Chamber to parries, which was good, but that's the only thing that I can take from the patch that I can remember. Nothing else I can remember jack shit off. Other than they fixed some animations, but it didn't really do that much difference, I think.
May I suggest to you then that you go ahead and save the link that I gave you, so that if you want to send it over to Jax, for example, as a demonstration of what a good roadmap would look like from a visual aspect and standpoint,
Yeah.
maybe it could help get the point across in that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. I think it's good to have some reference for that.
Because it also lends towards an element of accountability.
Yes, that is true, and I think that's why they don't make ones, because they think they're too pressured on, like they will have to deliver then on it, and you don't want to rush it either.
Obviously, yes, rushing it is the problem, but by being straightforward and providing a true and clear view that, listen, by this particular that within this quarter we're going to work on these things. Obviously, when you're setting up the list of what's going to happen in, say, right now quarter 2, you go ahead and present it in such a way that at least you have, say, 5 days or 1 week as a catchment area, just in a way to go ahead and in case something breaks at the last moment, or you're not entirely sure that you're going to make it by the entire quarter minus 1 week at least, and you have that 1 week to refine things if deemed necessary. So
yeah, I get that. It makes sense to me. Yeah, well, I don't actually have any more any more questions. Do you? Is there anything you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, been watching any interesting movies or series, or any particular series you're looking forward to?
Yes,
perhaps.
Yes. I've watched The Incredible, and I've known Incredible here not too long ago. That is amazing. If you haven't watched that, it's on Prime. You have to see that. It's insane. It's an animated series, not anime, but it's animated. Okay. Have you seen The Boys?
No, I don't believe so.
You need to see that too. It's also on Amazon Prime. Okay, imagine this. Invincible. Oh yeah, my bad. Hey, yo, hi Frisker, what's up, dude? Yes, exactly, Invincible. It's okay, I'm not gonna spoil anything, of course, but imagine superheroes that may or may not be good or evil, and we're talking extreme violence in a cartoon, like extreme violence, but like it's shown in a universe where it's like in it's based off comics, right? So it's practically like let's say, instead of it be DC or Marvel universe, right? It has like this universe where there's superheroes and stuff. And then something just goes completely wrong, and we're talking like genocide kinda wrong, with superheroes battling supervillains and that kind of stuff. And it doesn't shy away from violence and like controversial real topics as well. It has a very good story. It has a very nice set of characters and voice actors. It will get you really invested, because you're gonna really like all the characters in the show, and it has some good side plots as well. I would give that shit 10 out of 10. Like, generally, really, really big fan of it. I can't wait for season 2 and 3 that are already confirmed.
Nice.
Yeah,
I believe there's also been an announcement of a new prequel series, I believe, for Game of Thrones that's coming up.
Oh, really?
I think so. Something.
That would be interesting.
Dragon. Can't remember the name at this time. I mean, I'm not really that much into Game of Thrones that much myself, but I'm aware of a lot of people who, especially after the way that the Game of Thrones actually ended, are looking forward and hoping that this new series will go ahead and sort of rectify any mistakes that may have been made along the way. So
that would be cool. I've sent the trailer for Invincible in the chat. You should take a look at it and see if it's something that you might be interesting. It has some insane plot twist, and it's genuinely like a very, very well thought out and good series.
Alright, I'll take it.
It's actually like genuinely worth a watch. Even if it's not your genre, like the story itself will keep you invested. I'm pretty sure. Like I'm not really into that kind of series at all, but binged this stuff over 2 days. And man, like I would actually watch it again already. Like I would do a watch party on that, just to watch it again. You know, it's that good.
Cool.
But yeah,
in my case,
yeah,
you're saying, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
It's something that I've actually, in terms, I raised the idea with regards to films and series, particularly because here in Malta we actually have quite a number of quite a few films and series also being recorded at this time here in Malta too.
Yeah, like those cinematics, right?
I believe that there's Jurassic World that is partially being filmed here in Malta.
I thought you said Malta. Yeah, on Malta. Okay, now I see what you mean. Oh, wow. Interesting.
And apparently, something that I actually found actually came up in the news for me quite recently was that apparently there is going to be some sort of film or reboot of the series Das Boot, I think.
Okay.
Had to do, which it's some sort of German miniseries with regards to a bunch of crew from a German destroyer, sort of hunting their ships and that sort of thing. So yeah, being a bit of a World War II buff myself, I guess.
Yeah, I like World War II movies as well. I think there's a lot of good World War II movies out there. Have you seen Fury?
Fury, yes, definitely. Really,
that
really,
one, Saving Private Ryan, is also good. I love Vietnam War movies as well. Like We Were Soldiers is one of the classics for me as well.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Have you seen We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson?
Don't think so. No, actually.
You have to watch that. It's kind of the same style as Saving Private Ryan. You know, it's not same style. I don't know if you say that. It's the same. Like it's equally good. Is what I mean. Like it's just as good as Saving Private Ryan. It's like a classic. You should definitely watch it. If you haven't, get a hold on that somehow and watch that. It is absolutely amazing. It really it like in Saving Private Ryan really shows the horrors of war, but in a in a digestible way. You know, there is scenes from where that really kind of hits you a little bit in Saving Private Ryan. You have seen that movie, right?
I guess as on a similar note, I more of a series and quite an old one now at this time. Brothers.
Yeah, that one I've seen. I've seen that one. That is also good. Have you not seen Saving Private Ryan?
Yes, no, I have seen Saving Private Ryan. No, with tanks and
the scene where this medic guy gets shot and he's like bleeding out, calling for his mom and shit. It's like, okay, wow, you know, it kind of leaves some impact, you know. And there is that kind of stuff in We Were Soldiers as well, but it's a completely different kind of warfare in the Vietnam War, and it has tension, and it's just honestly an amazing movie. You should definitely watch that. It's very, very good.
I'll look out for it for sure. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, actually, on that note, I think it's about time to end the podcast. We've been going for around 2 hours, which is somehow like it's supposed to be like 1 hour usually, but like it always ends up being 2 hours, which I'm happy for, because it means that the conversations has been going well, you know. For me, like 2 hours is the optimal time for a podcast as well. If you ask me, I think an hour is kind of on the shorter end.
Yeah, I guess I'm glad that I've been training for for talking in long conversations like these for the past 2 years of streaming. So
yeah, that's good.
There we go. But yeah, keep up the good work in terms of these podcasts for sure. A lot of interesting people. Both have been guests so far, and as I'm aware now, are definitely going to be guests going forward in the future. Keep up the good work in terms of streaming. I mean, you're a great healthy community going on right now. So
thank you, man. I appreciate that. You too.
And I wish you the best of luck for sure.
Yeah, you too. Boys, by the way, if you haven't, I imagine most of you guys know Don. If you don't, go check his Twitch channel out. You know, he's a homie. Let's find it real quick.
Thanks, man. Also, on a little bit of a side note, I have been pushing out a bit more in terms of YouTube content as well, trying to make it
link your YouTube. I don't have that on hand. I have your Twitch channel on hand though. This is his Twitch. Go and check him out. Give him a follow. Go be good boys.
Never mind. No, but you brought it up. You have to give me your point.
So yeah, mostly so far.
You can't do that.
Oh what? Oh, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, never mind. No, it's just you were hosting someone and I went to the channel and for some reason it wasn't muted, so there was this guy called Fridges TV that I've heard some Irish or something. I was like, wait a minute. I thought you for a second were doing like an accent on purpose or something.
No. I think I'm okay with accents sometimes, but I just need to hear a few sentences first before then picking it up and going from there. So, guess that's maybe where I got my own voice and accent from. Streaming, I guess, since English is not necessarily our main language, and sort of if you go to places like the UK, each and every single region and town has their own accent pertaining to that location, I guess. Dialect, that's the word I'm looking for. But I guess, here in Malta, I just went ahead and picked up my own as time went on from what I've from movies, talking to people and this is what I sound like. So
I mean, like you speak English well. I don't know what else to say. I mean, English is not my first language either, so like I know where you're coming from with that. But yeah, thank you, man, for coming on. I enjoyed the conversations. I think it was a lot of fun, and just thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate that. I hope you had as much fun as I did.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, see you, man.
See you, man. Good luck with streaming.
Thank you, you too. Alright, boys. That was it.
Nice.